Hello everyone. Oh my god. Welcome back to my channel. Or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Zoe and I make content about makeup and makeup. And today I'm going to rank all the palettes that I used in the month of January on camera, except for one. But I was just trying to find all of those palettes and I can't seem to find two of them. So you'll have to use your imagination for those two. Okay, so I'm just gonna get into the ranking. I didn't really think about this like before making this, so we'll see how far we get. Let's get my coffee and then let's get into the video. Okay, I'm back. So, in the number 10 spot, we have, drumroll, the Jaclyn Hill and Morphe Divine Neutrals palette. And the thing is, I wish I could rank this higher, but I really can't. The formula is okay. Like the first time I really didn't like it. The first time I used it, my 31 days of palettes. This time I liked it a little bit better using it, but honestly, if this was like the most inspiring color story ever with this formula, I would have probably kept it. Or if this was the most amazing formula with this color story, I would have kept it. But it is a mediocre formula with just honestly the most boring color story on planet Earth. And you know, people are going to be like, yeah, but you know that when you bought it. I do. I knew it when I bought it, but I heard some people say great things about it. So I thought this could be my new neutral staple palette, but it's very much not. So I like the look I created with it. It was okay. It was workable, but I wasn't fully in love with the experience. So number 10. Probably gonna declutter that one. I know people are asking about like Macari and stuff, but I'm still trying to find out if I can actually do that in my continent and country. I've been really busy. I'm currently in the last phases of my study of my education, so I'm quite busy finishing that, and I have some volunteer work that really like that event was the past week. Sorry for your ears. So that peaked last week, so that's kind of why I haven't gone into those things yet. Let's get into the number 9 because we didn't game here to just chat. The number 9 is one that I can't seem to find anywhere. I think I already gave it back to the friend that I gave it to and then borrowed it back from for video purpose. For video making purposes. It's the Sauve X Revolution palette. I do have to say, I like the color story of the palette. I like the variation you're able to get. The mattes are pretty good. They just need building up. Like they're not just there. You need to build them. They don't pack a punch. And the shimmers are, you can get them to work, but you do need to work a little bit with them. Mind you, it's an older palette, formula wise, but also like it actually has, like I bought it a few years back, so like that's a thing. But it's just like you can feel and see in everything in the palette that it's an older palette, so that's why that comes into number 9. It's not a bad palette. I would use it again. Would I grab for it very fast? Probably not. So that's where we're at. There's literally dust in my coffee. That says something, doesn't it? Gross. Okay. Number, what are we, 7? Is this number 7? Yeah, no, 8. Number 8. How well am I accounting? Number 8 is the Zoeva Cafe palette. This palette, I want to say, like, it has like an explanation why it's in this spot, because Zoeva is one of my most trusted formulas. If I want to have a good look and I'm like, oh, I have to like be at dinner in like half an hour, I need it to look good, I can't fuss around with like new formulas or anything, Zoeva is one brand that I can always count on. However, it's also kind of a boring brand. So the palettes that I have from Zoeva, I like the formula of. Mattes don't pack a punch, you need to build them up. Shimmers are beautiful, but not really like as metallic as I would like them. But it is a very like reliable palette. I just think it's kind of boring. So that's why it's in this pot. If you really like his colors, I don't think you'll be disappointed. I think Zoe is a very stable, reliable brand. It's just not like they don't make color stories that particularly excite me. Next to the fact that my makeup preferences are a little bit more that matte pack, like that are more there within the first swipe, and metallics are more bright. And what I mean by that is, and I think it's mainly the metallics why I don't grab for Zoeva as much. So these are 3 of the metallics from Zoeva. And then on my pinky, I'm going to swatch one from this palette that I have laying right next to me. It's the Huda Beauty Jaguar palette. And as you can see, these are pretty, but this is just so much more metallic and bright and there, you know? So that's why I think that's kind of what I mean with the shimmers are beautiful. They're just not really punchy or out there. Which may be your makeup preference. So that is number 8. In number 7, we have a palette that's not here. By the way, I like all of these palettes except for like number 10 and 9, I think. Number 7 is the mini palette by Rare Beauty. I think it's called Mini Me palette, and it came in a set with a mini mascara. I have the box here. I just can't seem to find a palette anywhere. It's called the Discovery Mini Eyeshadow Palette Sincerely Me. That's the shade it's in. And the reason that I don't super love this palette, I do really like the shimmers, the mattes, and the glitter, so that's a good thing. However, I think the color story is kind of off. Like this, like all the shades are beautiful, but this yellow gold doesn't really match with the rest of the palette in real life when blending it. So I could have done without that shade. Although the shade on itself is very pretty, but it just doesn't really match the other shades in the palette. So yeah, color story didn't do it for me. I do like the formula. I do like all the shades separate, but I didn't like all the shades together, if that makes sense. So that is why that is a little bit lower on the scale, but I did like it. I would reach for it again, but I don't think I'll ever reach for that yellow. So at number 6, we have the ColourPop SoFly palette. I think this is a super pretty palette, packaging wise, color story wise. People might find this to be boring, but I think it's super cute and exciting, and that shifty shade in the middle is gorgeous. But that is exactly why this is not higher up, because this palette I've used twice, and both times I made like almost exactly the same look. Whilst there's so many pretty colors, like this blue is super pretty, but I've never used it for this stupid reason that I always want to use that shade. So what I feel like is that this palette is gorgeous, but it doesn't inspire me to use all the shades and to create different looks. So that's why it's not higher up. I do want to use this very soon again, maybe like in the month of February, or maybe in the month of March, so that I can see if I can actually make different looks and still like them. But that's why for now I can't rank it any higher. Then we are gonna get into the number 5. This kind of pains me because I really wanted to rank it higher, but if I'm honest, it's not really realistic. So this is the Lorac Desert Unzipped Desert Sunset, sorry. This is such a beautiful, reliable, gorgeous palette. It's really a really good palette, and it really makes me want to buy more Lorac. However, if you've been on my channel a little bit longer, you know that I don't really get into warm tone neutrals a lot. So I'm like a colorful girl, I'm a cool tone neutral, I'm like a mid tone neutral, but you'll hardly ever see me get into warm tone neutrals. You will see me wear pink and orange eyeshadow, but not neutrals, if that makes sense. So this color story is not one that I will reach for a lot because it leans quite warm with the reds and the warmer gold and the warmer matte shades. This is like, I think like this, and these three, the upper row has a little bit more cooler tones, but it's mostly warm tones. And because all of the mattes are warm toned, except for maybe the dark brown, you will almost always get like a warmer toned look. However, the formula on this is stunning. The shimmers aren't overly metallic, but they're really, really pretty, even though they're not the most metallic. You have different formulas in this palette, and I don't ever see myself getting rid of this palette. Also, this packaging is just awesome. However, it's not one that I reach for a lot right now, and when I made the look, I loved the look, but I felt like it wasn't as me as some of the other palettes that are coming up. So that's why it's there. And now we have top 4, and that's so hard because I don't know. Okay. I think. Yeah. So, in number 4, we have the e.l.f. Chocolate Mint palette. This palette is very nice. I like the color story a lot because I loved that I did like a little pop of mint in the inner corner, and like without that mint color, it's just a very good basic palette, but then you have the mint. And I think this could be so fun when you travel with it, if you're like a person that doesn't really wear a lot of makeup, but you always wear some neutral eyeshadow, but you want to take a little pop of color with you on vacation or something. I think this is very nice. I like the formula of these little palettes, not of all of them, but most of the time when I don't really like this many palettes is because of the color story more than the formula. So I actually really enjoyed this. I can see myself reaching for it again. The only reason that I didn't rank this higher is it's 4 shades, and I don't really see myself making any other looks than the one I did previously. So that's why it's not up higher. Okay, we're back. I'm sorry. And then at number 3, what are we gonna do? Yeah, I think we're gonna do this one. Weirdly enough, I don't know why, but okay. At number 3, we have the Natasha Denona Mini Love. I really enjoy these mini palettes from Natasha Denona. I kind of think I like them more than the bigger palettes, but I haven't used the bigger palettes enough to figure that out. I do always not always, but most of the time I have that I could do without one shade, this one. But I did really enjoy the look I made with this. These palettes are so fun and like user friendly. You have the 2 mattes, then you have some shimmers. Most of the time I use these 2 mattes, throw this on the lid, throw this in the inner quarter. This, by the way, is a shifty shade. It kind of turns greenish, but I could also use that one, so that's why it's higher than the e.l.f. one, because there's a little bit more variety possible. Not that I use it, but okay. In the number 2 spot, we have the Scott Barnes palette, and you guys know that I have like a whole relationship background with this palette. When I got this, I was so excited. because I know some YouTubers that are like big Scott Barnes fans of him, but also the brand. I saw this palette, Color Bomb. I was like, yeah, that's my type of palette. I was not 100% sure about the color story, but like I felt like I was missing some colors, but I was like, you know, love this. I'm gonna love it. And then I swatched it and I was like, what is this? This is terrible. But then I used it on my eyes and I was like, ooh, yes. And then I used it on my eyes again and I'm like pretty sure that I really like this palette. For some reasons. And those also might be cons to you, so pay attention, people. Okay, listen up. These palettes are like actual colors. What I mean by that is there are a lot of eyeshadows that you can't blend different shades into one another. And with that I mean, like, okay, you can see I blended my eyeshadow today, but there is often a thing in makeup where if you blend a yellow with like a dark blue, you will get a muddy, gross looking yellow, blue, and then in the middle some muddy, gross looking mixed color. But with this palette, you can actually mix those to get a actual green. You can get the pink and the yellow together to get an actual orange. So I was like, I'm missing some purple mattes. But you're not, because you can mix these two shades together to get actually a purple matte. So what I want to say about this palette is it's a gorgeous palette. Honestly, I think it's more for people that are experienced in makeup, that know how to mix color. It's not so much for beginners, in my opinion, because you might be overwhelmed and not know what to do with this palette. But if you know your makeup, if you know your color palettes, if you know how to mix shades, if you know how to work and really blend makeup properly, this is a gorgeous, gorgeous palette, and I'm very happy to have it. And then the number one spot. I'm boring, you guys. I am, because this was, I think, the number one palette of the 31 days in December, but I need to give it to this. This is the Unique Beauty Pamper Me Pressed Pigment Palette. These shimmers, like, okay, the mattes aren't even that good. The mattes are okay, like, they're very workable, but they're like far from the best mattes I've ever used, but they're really like, okay, no, listen, let's take that back. The mattes are good, but they're nothing like super special. They're not like the Scott Barnes mattes, they're just like good mattes. However, these shimmers, you guys, like, the camera doesn't even do it justice. This is like a 3-chrome, or like, it has like maybe even 4 shades. This I like 2 to 3 shades. This is more of a straightforward shade, but it has like the gold specks of glitter in it. These shimmers are so gorgeous, and I really want to like actually try every palette of this brand because it's actually stunning. So this is the number one palette. I didn't make a video using this, but I had to include it in this. So this is the number one palette for the month of January. Oops. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see any other ranking videos or have any video requests, please let me know. I know I'm kind of behind on like reading comments and stuff like that, but I will get to that as soon as I have a little bit more calm in my life, and I'm very curious to see what you guys have like request. If you guys have any requests for videos, so please let me know, and I'll see you in my next video. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like this video, all that stuff, because it really helps me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!